Well, okay, so welcome everyone to the first World Wednesday of Spring 2021. This World Wednesday is going to talk about short-term programs, the short-term programs for this year and short-term programs in general, so you can learn more about it. My name is Andrea Dvorak. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I am the Associate Director of Off-Campus Programs here at Augsburg University. So just briefly, here's what we're going to talk about today. I'll give you a short sort of introduction into how short-term programs work at Augsburg, and then we will go into sort of hearing a little bit more from the faculty leaders of these programs that are coming up in 2021. I'll also be talking a little bit about our every summer program in Mexico. Next, I'll give you a short sort of description about what we're doing in terms of COVID preparations, and we will have time for Q&A at the end as well. So first, a little bit about how short-term programs work at Augsburg. So this is an opportunity for you to travel with other Augies. So this isn't independent or on your own sort of travel. This is an opportunity to go along with a group. So I think a lot of students who haven't done a lot of traveling before or feel nervous about it, this feels like a great sort of way to start or try out study abroad or away. You also travel with a faculty member or two from Augsburg. So it's really an Augsburg experience in this sense. And you take Augsburg classes. So there's no sort of transferring classes into Augsburg from somewhere else. They're just already Augsburg classes and already meet requirements that you might have. So these are a lot of great benefits. And I think it means that, you know, students who feel like a whole semester is too long, or again, don't want that sort of independent on your own experience, these can be great opportunities. These classes and programs take place at a bunch of different times during the year. We know different students have different schedules, so we've done that sort of on purpose. We often have programs in winter break, in spring break, or in May, sort of early in the summer. Winter break programs are usually the first week of January, although sometimes they extend a little bit earlier into the end of December. Spring break programs are usually in March, whenever spring break happens to fall in for Augsburg. And then May programs are usually, again, that first 2 or 3 weeks in May, right after the graduation ceremony and finals are over. The courses, so this is important to think about. The courses often meet not just during the travel period, so the class isn't just that week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. They often meet before or after, and this varies depending on the class. So some classes might meet the whole spring semester with that travel in either January or in March. A lot of the May programs, you know, have some more intensive class times right before departure or right after departure, things like that. But it really varies, so definitely talk to the faculty leader for the program to find out more about how that's set up. These classes all usually meet gen ed requirements. So these are a great way to meet requirements you might already have that you need to do. Those things like fine arts requirements, social science, humanities, etc. Those things are often what these classes meet. And also the Augsburg experience. So everyone needs to complete an Augsburg experience at some point during your college career. And these are great ways to do that. You can do it with in other ways too, an internship or research with a faculty member, but study abroad on even these programs is one of the ways to do that. It's important to know a little bit about how the credit works with these programs. Spring semester classes and those spring semester travel times in January or in March, the class periods or the class credits are part of spring semester. So a couple of things to know about that. You can use a sort of short-term program like this to make you full-time in spring semester. So some students might do one of these January programs, for example, and then only have 3 other classes in spring semester. But that adds up to 4 classes total, and you've got a full load of classes in that case. Otherwise, you can also use it to sort of on top of full-time. So some students take a full load of classes plus this class in spring semester. And in that case, you don't actually pay the overload fee that you might otherwise pay for an extra class. So that's a great way to sort of catch up if you're a little behind in credit. Summer programs are very different in this sense. So you're in the summer term in that case, so you pay summer tuition, and it's part of summer term in that case. So a little bit different style in that way. Very important to know about sort of how financial aid and scholarships work. If you're a spring semester program, you have access to your spring financial aid, but that usually mostly only covers your regular classes. So the travel costs are usually on top of those costs. In the summer, some students do have financial aid in the summer, either Pell money or Minnesota State grant, things like that. And in those cases, those do help pay for those programs. We also have some scholarships, which often cover some costs of some of these programs. Sort of depends on the program. So each brochure on our website, which we'll show you a little later, does sort of explain whether there's scholarships available. Okay, well, I'm gonna jump now to hearing a little bit about the different programs. And the first one is the Community Arts and Culture in Cuba program. Unfortunately, we don't have Belisa Torres with us today. She's the professor for this class. So I will make an attempt to sort of talk a little bit about this program. This class is a theater class. So the class that's part of this is a theater class. And this is an opportunity to really learn about how the culture in Cuba is represented in both the arts community and in the in arts that happen in Cuba and also in the community, and so how that all sort of goes together. The travel is just a couple weeks in May. I think it's the 10th to the 21st. There are a couple scholarships, I think, that you can apply for with this program. And another thing to know, this is true, I think, of all the summer programs, you can definitely be a senior and participate in one of these programs. You can basically walk at graduation and join us for the travel afterwards in summer. So I unfortunately can't say a whole lot more about Cuba. Belisa would know more about that, but I will leave it at that for now, and we'll see if there are questions a little bit later. So let's jump now to this next program, which is Writing La Dolce Vita, Food, Art, and Culture in Italy. And we have both faculty leaders for this program are here, so I will turn it over to them, Jackie and Bob.
Should I go first?
Take it away, Jackie.
Okay. So I'm really excited to be offering this experience for the first time. You're looking at a picture on the left of the Castello where we will be staying. It's Castello Sonnino. So this is an experience. It's going to be 2 weeks this May. If it doesn't happen this May, we are planning to move it to next spring, spring 2022, either during the semester or perhaps in May. But right now, we're planning for this May. And it's a history class and it's an English class, a writing class. You can choose either lower division or upper division history, or from 2 different numbers in the English lineup. And you can take both or you can take either. So it's quite flexible. We chose Italy because, first of all, the history course that I'm teaching is a version of a course that I've been offering for a number of years, the history of food, the global history of food. And in that class, we have discovered that the Mediterranean region is the crossroads, one of the crucial places where food history developed. When you think of Italy, you might think of a steaming bowl of pasta with tomato sauce. And one of the things certainly we'll eat when we're there is a bowl of pasta, but we'll learn that pasta came from the Arabs across the Mediterranean, and the tomatoes came from Columbus and the Columbian exchange. It came from the New World. And Italy is just the perfect place to be, to study food, history, culture, production, consumption, taste. So this course goes from the ancient world all the way to the present, and we'll be partnering with people in Italy to learn about contemporary food culture and cooking, as well as viticulture, which is the production of wine. We're looking at some verdant land here in this picture. We're going to be in the heart of the Chianti wine region. And now just a word about Castello Sonnino. It's really quite extraordinary that we get to be here. It's a 16th century castle run by the Sonnino family, a baron and a baroness. We'll meet them while we're there. They have turned this castle into an educational center. And it's in the small town of Montespertole, which is about 20 miles from Florence, and Siena and San Gimignano. And we'll travel to all those marvelous late medieval and Renaissance towns. And we're also going to have an overnight on the sea at Cinque Terre. So I'm just very excited to share all of this experience with you. I'll turn it over to Bob.
So my part of this class is to provide opportunities for writers to go to one of the places in the world that has attracted writers, artists for the last 4 centuries. One of the courses that I love teaching at Augsburg is writing about the arts. And often when we're writing about the arts, students go off and write about arts that they see in the Twin Cities. Imagine now you're going to be able to use that course to examine some of the great masterworks of Western culture in Florence, and do this while you're also imbibing the culture, the food of Italy. I think the experience is just going to be extraordinary. You can take this course, you can take 2 versions of this course. One is the lower level, writing about the arts, and that would fulfill a lot of requirements if you are an English licensure student, if you are, you need to fulfill a humanities LAF, that course works really well. The upper division version is going to be another writing course, which is creative nonfiction. And the purpose I have in this encounter we're going to have with Italian culture and art is for all of us to do what so many great writers have done in the past, which is just immerse yourself in this incredibly inspiring landscape. So I look forward to it. I remember very well the 2 weeks I spent in Florence when I was a young man, and it was just breathtakingly beautiful. So I hope we go this spring, but if COVID makes that impossible, we'll do it the next year.
Okay, thank you so much, Bob. So I think we'll jump now to the next program, which is Science and Religion in Germany. And we have Professor Michael Wenzel here to talk a little bit about that. Michael?
Thank you. Yeah, I should have gone before Bob and Jackie. This is a mistake to go after those folks. But yeah, so it's Science and Religion in Germany. So it's myself and Professor Hans Wiersma from the Religion Department. I'm a chemist. I'm the science part of the Science and Religion in Germany. It involves 3 classes. A Science with a Lab, Chemistry 102, it's an LAF class, a Religion 200, and also the Science Keystone. And one of the fun things about this class, we always enjoy, I enjoy, and Hans does as well, is that this brings people from all across campus together that maybe haven't interacted in an immersive sense. So that's kind of the neat part about this. We start in May, so this is a May class, May 5th through May 20th this year. Again, we're very hopeful that we'll be able to go. The way the trip works is we'll do maybe a couple labs before we go, for those of you that are doing the labs. And then we kind of travel across Germany. We fly into Frankfurt, and then we go down to Heidelberg. One of the neat parts about this trip is that we kind of go off the beaten path a little bit. Heidelberg is a college town, a large castle and a river, and then we travel to Marburg, which is another college town, castle on the hill. And then we make our way across from west to east to Leipzig and Berlin and Wittenberg, and we end in Berlin, have a couple days there as well. Really a neat place for both on the religious side, the Protestant Reformation, of course. Hans is an expert in that, and that's where that began. And then also scientific discoveries. Germany has played a large role in that. We saw the first chemistry lab notebook at the University of Marburg. That was very exciting for me, at least. But also the ethical dilemmas of some of the chemistry and scientific innovations as well. We talk a lot about those. It's a great trip. This is our second time we've done this. We did this the first time in 2017. had a wonderful group, and yeah, just really look forward to it again.
Okay, thanks so much, Michael, for talking a little bit about that Germany program. So I now want to shift to just telling you a little bit about a program which happens from Augsburg every summer. This is the Language and Culture in Mexico program. Augsburg, as many of you might know, has our own campus in Mexico and our own programs there. So we're running that program every summer. A few things to know about our summer program there. It is a block style program. So we offer a number of different classes, but you take one class at a time every 3.5 weeks. So it's very flexible. You can choose to go later. You can choose to go earlier in the summer. You could choose to do a program longer or shorter. So there's a number of different options in terms of that. This year in particular, we're starting a little bit later. So the first block will begin in June. And that's on purpose so that we know for sure that we, know that we can offer that in terms of potential concerns about COVID. So we'll be checking that sort of as we get through the spring. Spanish language and research and internships are kind of what's available there. And we do have all levels of Spanish. So if you have no Spanish at all, or you're very advanced in Spanish, we have a lot of options for you. And again, if you do have that higher level of Spanish, an internship or research experience is definitely available to you. Okay, so now I want to shift and just tell you a little bit about some of our COVID preparations. As everyone knows, we are in the middle of COVID times, and so I wanted to just tell you kind of what our plans are. All of these programs have a deadline. The faculty-led programs in particular have a deadline of February 17th, so students can apply up to that time, and they can withdraw up to that time at no cost. No cost at all to withdraw up until that point. On or around that date, we're going to decide whether we move ahead with planning these or whether we cancel them based on kind of a number of different aspects around COVID. If we cancel the program, you pay nothing. Students pay no cancel fee if Augsburg decides to cancel this program. We are, as Jackie mentioned, both the Italy and the Cuba program as well would be rescheduled for next year, potentially spring break or summer, something like that. At this point, we're planning for the Germany courses to be offered domestically this summer if we can't do them in Germany. So there's a few things to know about this. Starting an application now would hold a spot for you. I really think there's going to be a lot of pent-up demand for study abroad because no one's been able to study abroad a lot of this year in 2020. So if you're really interested in one of these and you want a spot, it would really benefit you to get an app in early. We can sort of hold a spot for you. These programs do fill up. There's a limited number of students who can participate, so that's important to know. If we don't cancel these programs, there's a few things to know about what we'll require. We'll ask everyone who participates to either get a vaccine or have a negative COVID test 72 hours before departure. We would sort of confirm that we can get you tests before you return as well. Right now, there's a new CDC rule that you have to have a negative test when you return to the US from international travel. So we're also going to be reviewing host country rules, and we'll follow whichever are most strict. So that's another thing that we're going to be checking. If a student gets COVID before travel, or if you had another reason, medical reason not to go, Augsburg does have travel cancel insurance, and we can work with them and with you to help you cover costs of a program cancellation if you would not be able to go suddenly. We're also going to be monitoring the State Department travel warnings, the CDC rules and guidelines, and we know that many of these may change as the new Biden administration comes in now starting today. So for example, some of you may know Cuba is actually a level 4 State Department warning, but this is in the context of Trump putting it on the state sponsor of terror list for holding peace talks with Colombia. So it's a little bit complex, kind of why some of these things are in place. If anyone wants to know more, especially about some of those questions around Cuba, I'm happy to connect you with my colleague, Susan, who would be able to tell you a lot more about it. So that's what I have to say about that. Okay, well, I'm going to just jump us then to the final slide and just make sure that everyone knows we have many future World Wednesday sessions coming up this semester. And you can see the list here. Next week, we start with STEM experiences abroad, and we're hosting a provider who will talk more about all the many opportunities to do, in particular, biology abroad. We've had a number of students do that, and we'll have a bio professor with us on that one. February 3rd, mark your calendars for affordable study abroad. We're definitely going to be talking about how to make it affordable, a bunch of different scholarships, and we've got a scholarship winner who will join us to tell you about his experience. And you can see many more, particularly around different majors, psychology abroad, communications and new media, business, as well as learning more about our different sites in Latin America and Southern Africa. So thanks everyone for being here today, and we look forward to hosting you for many more World Wednesdays in spring 2021. Thank you.